All right, good afternoon all. I'm Charlotte.
Hello, my name is Jay.
And
Today we're going to discuss lessons we learn, which means that while learning something we make mistakes. And we can learn from our own mistakes or from somebody else's mistakes. But the main thing is to learn from them. Not to punish yourself or someone else, but to learn from your mistakes.
yeah, so how did this come up, this specific topic?
I think I noticed that I make mistakes all the time, and that's why I decided that we should stop stigmatizing students and ourselves for making mistakes, because to err is human, and to forgive is divine.
Yeah, right. So this came up because Jay reminded me, well, as you'll hear in the audio portion, Jay reminded me of a phrase that I think Russians overuse a lot. The word company. I can't even remember what you said, but I remember, we were talking about the stories, but I remember a friend of mine saying...
She didn't enjoy their company, or maybe it was not even their company. Something like this,
yeah, something like that. Yeah, they shouldn't enjoy their company. You can say that, and that's perfectly fine. But this phrase is overused a lot by Russian speakers. Like, I think I had a friend.
It's like there was another one, to visit. Like he visits his grandmother. He visits
to visit a museum.
To visit,
You'd never say that. To visit your grandmother's fine, but to visit like a museum or to visit a cafe sounds like you just say go. Or to have a rest as well instead of to go on holiday.
Exactly.
Crazy, actually, that one.
So we should be aware of the fact that languages work differently, and that's why we should. I think one example would be when Russians, and not necessarily Russians, but some Slavs, use adverbs instead of adjectives after the verbs of sense perception. For example, she sounds wonderfully.
Yeah.
This is a very why? Because in Slavic languages, be it Russian or Ukrainian or Belarusian or any other language, people use adverbs in this case. While in English we use adjectives.
I mean, I think it even depends on the verb as well, because you could say like she sings beautifully, but she sounds wonderful. I think I actually kind of think it's a bit more logical sometimes in Russian, for example. But
language is not about logic; it's about just as we discussed it in our audio part. It's more about lexical patterns that should be memorized and used naturally.
Yeah, indeed. I actually want to see, I just opened up a document that I was going through with my online Friday evening class. And this is actually about irregular verbs and narrative tenses. And I've written the correct versions here, but I actually want to see if I can recall any of like the particular mistakes they have. So this isn't in vocabulary, but even a lot of students, even at higher levels, have problems with knowing when to just use past simple. Like, I think there is this misconception that all the other tenses are like fancier and better to use than just present simple or past simple.
Exactly.
People have like a weird psychological thing against using them, especially like so often.
Because students are specially trained to use the so-called difficult grammar in hope to get a high band score. And I can share my story. So I took the IELTS exam twice, once in Russia and second time in England. And in Russia I got 7 for my speaking, in England I got 8.5 for speaking. The main difference is that in Russia I tried to impress the examiner by using difficult grammar, while in England I simply enjoyed the process and
took it easy.
Try to sound natural. That was the main difference. So do not use memorized grammar, because it would sound weird sometimes.
I even remembered, just thinking of like these fixed phrases and stuff. Well, not fixed phrases, but I mean, fossilized errors. Yesterday I had a student who is 14. She's actually going to England in a couple of months for like a camp thing. And she was telling me, her mother was talking about like this test she has at school, where they had to translate Russian sentences into English, right?
Oh.
And each of the sentences, like the English sentences, contained a modal verb. And she got the girl, so she got really confused about it because she got lower marks than expected, or something like that. But also as well, stuff like this I think is pretty much impossible. So for example, должен could be have to or should in English, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that simply doesn't work. So this is kind of the opposite of what we were talking about just then. So she wasn't actually bad at it. Yeah, sorry.
I can hear you. So sometimes while reading Russian grammars, I notice that they're heavily influenced by Runglish, which means that the tasks for translation, for example, contain reveal. I would put it this way: reveal the so-called Runglish thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know what the authors of the book want the readers to do about their exercises and how they want them to translate this or that sentence. But at the same time, I know that if you translate the sentences the way they want you to translate them, they will sound Runglish. So that's why sometimes you have to completely rephrase the sentence. You should change it completely in order to make it sound natural.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like this battle between actual real English and Russian test English.
Yeah, this is one thing. And there are some types of tests which are extremely difficult for non-natives and maybe sometimes for natives, but fill in the gaps in the text without any suggested options to choose from. When you have certain collocations or something, but you should use you should type in your own words without any words to choose from.
You have to come up with something entirely on your own.
Yeah, something entirely on your own. And sometimes it's clear because there are some certain fixed expressions, but there are also in such texts texts and tests you will find some semi-fixed expressions, and even I would put it this way, even something which is debatable, something which is not necessarily fixed. And yeah, so they expect you to guess. It's always difficult for some types of people, especially for me, to guess someone's word or to guess something like guess my thought, guess what I wanted to say. I have no clue what you wanted to say. So I can structure my own thoughts, but it's difficult to structure somebody else's thoughts, especially when it comes to finishing someone else's story. Not like finishing, not like in the audio portion today, but when you have to insert certain words in order to make it more logical, more.
Unless it's got quite clear, very clear context, I suppose. Because even the activities we do, we very rarely do that, or it's very obvious at least what theme, it's on if we're talking about a gap fill.
Yeah, most of this gap fill is okay, but some of the gaps could be, as I put it, semi-fixed expressions, and that's why it's not always obvious what's.
Well, yeah, if it's about something that you've just been learning and it's very clear that
Yeah, well, it is obviously clear for natives. It's not always clear for non-natives.
Well, if you've just studied, for example, clothes, and then you have an article you need to fill in which is about clothes, you can probably work out a lot of what it's talking about.
Yeah, but if it's without any context, if it's not just about reading and then filling in the gaps.
That would be a poor task regardless, I think.
And I would say that on the one hand we have poor tasks made by non-natives, but on the other hand we have poor tasks made by natives. For example, I remember watching YouTube videos about learning Russian, and one Russian teacher, native Russian teacher, introduced some. She went somewhere and she showed the way she used her Russian language, but it was too difficult for non-natives, and she couldn't even understand that the examples she used were extremely difficult. So she tried to speak slowly, she tried to speak louder, but the thing is, the main context was so specific, was so difficult, that I think that most of her subscribers, non-native subscribers, failed to understand what she was talking about.
Like this was a video about a specific
Yeah,
point
so
or
yeah,
something,
so she went to MFC, and she started just discussing some getting special documents,
that's what she's
etc.
talking
Yeah.
about.
And she said that this is intermediate level of Russian or something, and she thought it was intermediate simply because she slowed down a little bit, and she was speaking slowly.
But yeah, right. No one had a clue.
I cannot imagine a non-native easily coping with this task.
Yeah, let's try it. All right, shall we?
Yeah, let's
wind it down here. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have any particular closing words on this one, but
so yeah,
an
thank you very
interesting
much.
thing to think about. Yeah,
every day is a school day, and don't punish yourself.
Let's see
for
what
making
comes
mistakes.
up this week, I suppose.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Enjoy your English.
Be good.
As always, bye.